For a live stream in this meeting.
How do I share the link?
And here we go. Share the link really quick. It's gripping.
Are we going yet?
Yeah, we are. Sorry, I'm just posting everything. I haven't done the official hello, but I'm about to. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to issue 555 of Geek in the City Radio. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Bean Rita.
And I'm your other host, Cable Hushtani. That was a flawless opening, Aaron. Flawless.
And we are all tired.
Yes.
We are all very tired. I mean,
more than usual?
Yeah, more than usual.
So why are you tired today?
Just, points at everything. I don't know.
It's the maneuver is, this. Gestures broadly.
Yeah, I need to have, if they haven't invented the app, and I know they probably have, and someone's going to send me an email saying, Aaron, this app is called this. I just need an app that, prevents me from looking at the phone for at least, well, not the phone, because I like my podcast. It prevents me from looking at anything on the internet for 2 hours. So that I can get up, maybe my music or my podcast.
What kind of phone do you have?
Android. Well, a crap one. I hate this phone so much, but Bean has heard this rant enough.
Yes. But if it's sort of a newer Android phone, does it run on Samsung?
Yeah, it is.
I only ask because I don't know if it's a Google thing or a Samsung thing, because there's apps for both OSs or whatever. But
right.
There are apps for focus time. So where you won't see notifications from specified apps, there's wind down time, like my phone screen, everything will go gray.
Right.
And I will stop receiving notifications at X time until whatever time in the morning I set it to. And that way, you're just not as drawn into being on your phone because you don't know that you're being messaged, and you don't, gray helps with the blue light, which keeps you up at night and all that shit.
I have that that changes around 9 o'clock at night. No, I mean, the problem is me. And I go, it's not that I've actually turned off almost all the notifications. It's the fact that I'm like Pavlov's masochist or whatever. I wake up in the morning and click the internet, and I'll just start scrolling Twitter, see what happened while I was asleep or what got worse. So no, I need an app that also comes with an implant that if the phone recognizes that I've hit the internet between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., it just mildly shocks me. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. That's what I need.
Gotcha.
You are suffering from the same thing that I am and other people are suffering from, that is referred to as doom scrolling.
Yes. That's also such a metal name for something that's wholly depressing.
Yes, it is.
The name doom scrolling is so badass.
It should be something more cool and fun.
It should be.
Yeah.
It's a fucking spell. He's gonna read from the doom scroll, but it's not.
I think it's probably cool. Better referenced as gloom scrolling. That sounds less metal and more accurate.
That I accept more. I like that more. Because the Doom Scroll sounds like an expansion for the Talisman Roll board game.
It's something from that you pick up from Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Yeah, that's right.
Easily.
Yeah, the Doom Scroll.
The Doom Scroll.
It's awesome.
I also put timers on some of my apps so that I am cut off. It's yes, this morning, and when I woke up, by which I mean 11, because I didn't sleep last night. I only slept in the morning. I reached my Facebook limit before, like 10 minutes before I'd actually gotten out of bed.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm done with that for today.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty good. I've had a pretty productive day for being so sleep deprived.
Yeah, I actually got I haven't posted it yet, but I actually wrote like another little Western short for the Patreon for later, which I haven't been able to write one of those in like fucking weeks. But it's been hard writing anything lately.
Right. A lot of people are feeling pretty blocked right now.
Yeah, fucking friend David Pepose, Spencer and Locke and going to the chapel.
Yeah.
That dude just posted. He's like, second book of the coronavirus lockdown finished. So I'm like, really? How the fuck have you written 2 books? I mean, good for him. I should hit him up and be like, what are you doing?
What's your secret?
What's your secret?
If he told you, then it wouldn't be a secret.
Well, okay.
I mean, chances are likely that it's some sort of like high level of anxiety that makes you hyper productive.
Yeah,
because like you're too anxious to be calm, so you're just working, whatever it is.
Oh, I have that.
And that's just like a.
I have that. It just doesn't translate into work. I wish it did. That would be awesome. Ow.
I have like 11 new hobbies. So, yeah.
We've noticed. At least they're all constructive ones.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Raiding my neighborhood for herbs is a weird one, I'm sure.
I apologize. I think there's going to be a siren going by here shortly.
Ah. Train, drink.
Yeah, man.
It's the slowest moving fire engine I have heard.
I mean, at first I thought someone was cranking some Hendrix outside.
No.
Because it kind of was opening like Foxy Lady. So I was waiting for but that didn't happen either. Foxy.
No, it didn't.
All I ever see now with that is Dana Carvey doing his weird Garth dance in the donut shop.
That's pretty good.
I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna watch that again soon.
I need to remark real quick the way that Zoom is laying out us today, and Aaron is over here, and Denise is under here. But so Aaron and I are on the top part of the screen, and Denise, you're right in the middle. Because of that, where Aaron's headphone cord lines up directly with whatever that white cord is in the background of you, Denise. So it looks like it's
this
just
side?
No, the other side.
Oh, this one.
It looks like it goes right up into his headphone cord. It's hilarious.
I'm plugged into your dining room light. Is that the Death Star light cord?
No, dining room's over there. This is my area. And there's actually not an overhead light in this part of the common areas. Oh. So we put one in, and that's what this is. It's just like a bulb on a strand with a lampshade on it, and there's a hook on my ceiling. It's pretty slapdash, but we've never really gotten around to installing actual
perhaps she'll die.
Wiring.
That's very IKEA, actually.
I think it might actually come from IKEA.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a remnant from the old house, and we happen to have it, and I happen to need more light in this part of the house.
No one heard me sing there for a minute.
We heard you.
I mean, you kind of had the cadence of that song for a minute.
No, yeah, I can totally. I understand why you went there.
Okay, fine. Hey guys, this is the show this week, by the way. This is what happens when we're all tired. Why do you think we've been looking for guests all the time lately? Because we're just burned out, so we want to just get other people to talk for us.
I don't believe that we're burnt. Okay, some of it is we're burned out, but some of it is also what in the world of pop culture is there to talk about these days?
That's true.
Largely, it's how it is awful, right, and how we have to take more responsibility for our stewardship of geek culture, and whatever we've decided to binge on Netflix this week that came out 10 years ago.
Oh.
that came out 10 years ago. What is going on with reality TV anymore?
I've literally all Jen and I've been watching now are all the we're in a new golden age of weird game shows, and I'm kind of happy for it.
Like The Floor is Lava, you're into that?
Yes, because I still, when no one's around, I will still sometimes wish that like adults could play like The Floor is Lava or The Floor is Quicksand.
And she can't.
Yeah, but
why can't you?
Because it doesn't. I don't know. I guess you could. So I like that. I think I would love the idea if someone were to build like a giant living room that you could play in. But if you fell, you actually fell into it. It looks like boiling lava. You're like, ah!
I will still sometimes take a deep breath when I go from one end of a doorway to the other, like a hallway,
right?
As if I am going from one airlock to another. So I'm like, have to like time it just right.
That's so awesome.
I do goofy things like that all the time. Just do good. It's fun.
Yeah. No, I do those, but I usually just keep them in my head. I keep them as my inside weirdness. Just like whenever I stand up or sit down, I still go in my head because I'm transforming from standing to sitting or vice versa.
I love you, Aaron. Your weirdness is not inside.
Maybe it should be.
It's not as inside as you think it is.
What's another one?
And that is glorious.
Thank you. There's Keegan-Michael Key hosts a game show on CBS. I think it's called Heads Up. Anyway,
I don't know this one.
So it's basically.
So they're both on CBS now.
Yeah, that's true, and he's also producing it along with his wife. So,
Nice.
So basically, I mean, I like regular game shows, but I was always a big fan of game shows that used to take. These were like big in the '60s, where you would take like celebrities and just make them do weird shit on TV. So this one also has two permanent like co-competitors. It's Venus Williams and Rob Gronkowski. And like they each have their own permanent sidekicks. I think Venus Williams has Ian Carmel and Gronkowski has Bobby Lee. And then every week there's another celebrity that joins each team. And they basically have to do these like over the top physical challenges while answering trivia that like they would never likely know kind of stuff. And the physical challenge, like one of them one time is that both Venus Williams and the Gronk were turned into human foosball goalies and their teammates had to spin a wheel to deflect the ball back and forth. It's shit like that.
Okay, that does sound kind of fun, but also it just sounds like we're moving into the BoJack Horseman universe in real life.
I mean, sure. I guess, what else we watch? Extreme Tag, like that was which was basically American Gladiators, but it's tag because like all the tag people, there's the contestants and then there's the competitive, like the chasers, and they all have like different characters that are over the top, and I think that's great and stupid.
I think I can never seem to get behind game shows or reality TV shows. I don't know what it is.
When I do, I kind of hate myself for it.
I don't think. I mean, I like some reality. Like you'll never like. I can't get down with like Real Housewife or The Bachelor or The Bachelor. Like those don't do it for me.
No.
That's because they're designed to be awful.
Yeah, but like, and I guess this is quasi game show. But like, I'm bummed there's no more new ones. I used to love watching fucking Forged and Fired. It was competitive blacksmithing.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That
was cool. Like when Netflix had the glass blowing show, I was like, oh, that's cool. It was competitive glass blowing. Why would that be?
Our friend Katie in Texas recommended The Big Flower Fight.
I've seen some of that one.
First of all, it's got Natasha Demetriou from What We Do in the Shadows. So that's fun. And it's one of the more wholesome competitive shows, which I kind of like. I like when different, like the competing teams can actually you know, help each other out, and
it's a BBC one.
Yeah, the challenges are positive. It's not like, hey, who can just like cram the most bullshit in their mouth, or like, you know,
I'd watch
screw
that
the rest
show.
of the teams over the hardest in order to win. There used to be a game show like that. It had just like random shit like, okay, empty these 2 boxes of Kleenexes as fast as you can. And literally it was just this was it. This was the game. Just that was the challenge. So
well, okay, that's not as fun.
No, that shit's stupid.
It's funny. I was watching that what's it called? The flower what?
The big flower fight.
Yeah, and I didn't realize who one of the hosts that it was her.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was like, she seems really familiar. Like I've seen her before, and it clicked. I think it was in the first episode, like 10 minutes in, she gave like this kind of cheesy, like game show host one-liner, and then literally did a second take of the camera and made a face, and I was like, oh, I know, that's my good lady wife. That's Nadia.
Yeah, she has fun with it, and it's a good, wholesome show.
They also have on Netflix, while we're just doing this now, they have one called Crazy Delicious.
I saw the ads for that, and I think it's out now, and I do want to see it.
It is. It's cute. Mainly because it's like you're cooking. You know that scene in Willy Wonka when he like opens the door, "Come with me," and and like everything's edible.
Yeah, while they're floating down the river.
Well, but before the river.
Okay.
That's a different song.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I know it's not, but the whole set is set up so that you can eat anything in the garden. And
yeah, that looks amazing to me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
I'll probably watch that.
I still have not gotten back into watching any television or movies yet. We're getting closer. Like every day that we get closer to being done here, well, I mean, more along the lines of being done with moving stuff in. And then it's like, okay, I think I'll watch something now.
Right. One thing I've noticed is my inability lately to focus on watching anything scripted that's new. Like I can't, it's like my brain doesn't. So anything new that I'm watching, again, it's like literally, it's like game shows. Other than that, I'm just going back to things that make me feel like warm and comfortable. So a lot of Star Trek, like more than usual. And then Matthew Clark reminded me that Hulu has all of MASH.
Yep.
So there's like what 10 years worth of back when shows were also 30 episodes a season.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and
that'll keep you going for a while.
Yeah, I actually rewatched. I think I've watched about, and I'm going like I'm starting at season 1 and I'm going. You know how most shows have like the rule of thirds, especially back then. Like a third was good, a third was mediocre, and a third was bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
MASH is pretty good at bucking that trend. Like they're pretty solid the whole way through.
You know, the eye opener, because I went and hung out with Matthew yesterday, and he was in the middle of watching an episode of MASH. One of the things that he commented on is that he hadn't really looked at the geography of it and had seen a graphic that pointed out the fact that all of Korea during the Korean War, all of it, is the size of LA County.
Yeah.
So it's like all of that was occurring in a much smaller area than we think it was.
Yeah. And everyone also kind of forgets that it was like, I believe, and I could be wrong, so someone will correct me, but I remember reading about it. Because strangely, it's a weird way, the way my family had, this is a weird way to say it, the way my family had kids, like the vast amount of like my uncles are almost all Korean War vets. Not a lot of them are Vietnam War vets because I don't know why. It's just that I think it's a weird age thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my uncles are all Korean War vets. And like, first off, like they're getting older now, but like they do not like talking about it.
Nobody likes talking about the Korean War.
No, but I remember reading, I did a report on my Uncle Eddie about that one, about his experience in the Korean War. And I remember coming across a stat that I thought, I could be wrong, but I think apart from the Civil War, like the Korean War had more like U.S. deaths than any of our other ones. Like it was a lot. Yeah. To this day, that is also why my Uncle Eddie does not throw away anything, any food item. Like if you are eating an apple around him and you can't finish it, you got to throw it away. He will take the apple and wrap it in plastic wrap and put it back in the fridge. Because he was a POW for like 2 years.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to add that part.
It's like, was he a POW? No,
he was. He was literally rescued and saved because my Aunt Terry, like they got married right before he shipped out. It was like, I'm going to Korea. We should get married. And she says, okay. So he ships out. They know that he gets captured about 9 months into his service. And there's nothing they can do about it, you know, because it is what it is. And because they were doing prisoner exchanges, but they had to know who to look for, basically, or however it worked. And my Aunt Terry is with, you know, my grandma, like, you know, they're all together and they go to the movies. And this is still when they would show newsreels at the front of a movie. And yeah, and North Korea had allowed in, probably for propaganda reasons, a camera crew or news crew to film how well they treat POWs in North Korea. And she saw him on film. And like as she tells me, like they left the theater right then. They went down to whatever would have been at the time, the army office or DO. I don't know. They went to someone and they said, I just saw my husband. He's up there. Could we like do, and like they looked up like the film number, and like 3 months later, he was part of a prisoner exchange because of her seeing that shit blows my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because that was still like the Korean War was 1950 to 1953.
Mm-hmm. That was a joke about MASH, is that the show lasted 4 times as long as the war.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is impressive in a day and age where shows didn't tend to last all that long, did they?
Yeah, they did, because there was 3 channels.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be that good to stay on. You just had to do enough. Yeah.
Wonder Woman had 3 seasons. And it was not a good show.
No. I mean, you could argue that I love it too, but you could argue that maybe I think it's one of the rare shows that I think season 1's probably the best one.
Because it is definitely set in World War II.
Yeah.
And you know who the bad guys are. Like, it's easy to tell because they all wear swastikas. They're all Nazis.
Yeah.
And largely all of the Nazi commanders were all played by comedians.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. And I think probably ones who were Jewish. Largely so that they could, because they played them as a joke.
Right. Yeah.
I see.
So it's like, well, of course Wonder Woman's going to beat them. Yeah. It was very subversive.
I just started watching.
Sorry.
So Patton Oswalt, his wife who passed away, Michelle McNamara.
Mm-hmm.
She was a writer and was kind of obsessed with like true crime stuff, and she wrote a book about the investigation she did in this serial killer that had never been caught. And by the way, her investigation and her book aided in finding out who that guy was, and he actually just got sentenced recently.
Yeah, it's
Yes, it did just today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Golden State, East Area.
The Golden State Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, East Area Killer. But there's
Ex-cop,
a documentary
by the way.
series. What's that?
Ex-cop, by the way.
Ha. Spoilers.
Oh.
The first episode just came out, and I watched it last night, and it's very, very good.
You can't spoil something that's fact.
But I didn't know I didn't know that yet. I just knew serial killer. The book helped find him, and he just got sentenced. That's all I knew.
Anyway. Yeah, because I remember Patton had this really like real pretty tweet because his wife passed away like a week or so before the book came out or something.
I forget exactly.
And then they caught him not soon after that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like her book led to them catching him finally. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I hope you're looking down right now. He's like, we're so proud of you. You did it, honey. Like you did it. You know. That guy's stand-up also, by the way, can be both hilarious and heartbreaking within like a sentence.
Yes.
Like the way he can do that.
I really appreciate that about him.
Yeah. Anyway, also shows used to last a long fucking time. Because I'm now looking up just for the hell of it. I was like, what show? Like Gunsmoke. 1955 to 1975.
I've never even heard of that. Well, I mean, I've probably heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it was one of the many Westerns that used to exist on, TV back in the day. I bet you could pull off a good Western right now. Because we are
You could.
Yeah. That actually could be really neat to unpack and try and do like a timely Western.
Would you want to do it like quote unquote historically founded, like Tombstone, or just totally just pure genre fiction?
I think I'd want to find some kind of balance, treat it, because for the longest time, for better or worse, like the Western was the American mythology. You could argue that that's superheroes now. But like that's what the Western was. So, and I guess shows have come close to it, like Deadwood, but Deadwood's pretty gritty. It's great, but
that one's on my list. But we said we were gonna watch that with friends, and so we haven't been able to do that.
I've seen the first season, and then I lost HBO. It would be interesting to try to like parse out like a modern take on Westerns. I'm not sure how you could do. I know it could be done, but like you'd have to show like all the ugliness and shit, and yeah, I don't know.
What about Winona Earp? Is that a Western or not really, or what's the deal there? I know.
Cable, you want to take that one?
It is in no way, shape, or form a Western.
Okay.
It is 100% fan service, the television series. I love Winona Earp, but no, it is Western only in that
that she's the descendant of Wyatt Earp.
Yep.
Okay,
Wyatt
but
Earp,
it's not.
and she's befriended by Doc Holliday. No, that the original Doc Holliday, not a descendant.
But it's modern.
Yes, he was cursed by a witch, so he was stuck in a well for 100 years. Didn't age.
Random. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's, yeah.
It's basically, it blends the mythology of Wyatt Earp and supernatural elements. And then they put together a cast of people who just love chewing up scenery and being half naked most of the time.
Yes.
Like
everyone on that show is super pretty.
Yes.
Like they're
that's
pretty.
the one thing I know.
And super thirsty.
Discussed it in the past.
Yep. They're really attractive and mostly shirtless.
Yeah.
Men and women. Like
everyone's just DTF all the time.
Yep. I think the first episode of season 2 has a 10-minute fight scene between Winona and another woman, and the other woman is just in a bra and panties.
Yes.
And like they're just.
Was there at least a context for that, or they just
she
went with it?
Had just come out of the shower. But they couldn't put her just in a towel because it was on Sci-Fi.
Right.
Okay, so it is straight up gratuitous. They don't try to like make it.
Yes, but
necessarily.
It's
kind of cheeky, so it doesn't feel exploitive.
Yeah, like
just how
everybody's in on it. Like everyone who participates in that show, all the actors are like, "Oh no, when we do this, we do it almost winking at the camera, almost literally winking at the camera."
Yeah, like Well, it's like how Xena Warrior Princess would often have Xena and Gabrielle like fighting bad guys that just happened to discover them while they were cleaning themselves in a natural hot spring.
Mhm.
Right.
So yeah, it was like kind of naughty and kind of sexy, but it never felt exploitive because, like a Cable said, everyone was kind of in on the cheese.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, as long as all of the actors and actresses are like, yeah, this is fun. This is what we're doing, as opposed to like, I guess this is what I have to do.
There are lesbian characters, bisexual characters, both male and female bisexual characters that don't hide it. It's very friendly in that regard. Yeah. But like one of the characters' last names is Haught, which is pronounced hot.
Hot.
Yes, Officer Hot.
My brain was telling me it was something like officer, but I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
And much like Xena, it has helped an entire generation of people come to terms with their own sexuality. If they weren't sure, they watched Wynonna Earp and thought, okay, yeah.
This is fine.
This is fine. This is me. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm. Someone on Facebook, Talina on Facebook, was reminding us, it's like, oh yeah, there was the episode, the local strip bar is called Pussy Willows.
Donk.
Look, if Bond can get away with pussy galore, you can.
That's what the show is all the time. And they have a brand new season. I think starts next month.
Now, if you want to talk about an exploitative franchise.
Oh hell yeah, that's Bond to a T.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the other show that's like, that's this Canadian show called Banshee. That is also the most thirsty show you will ever see.
Banshee?
Yeah, so Banshee, I think it started as a Canadian series, and either Netflix or Hulu picked it up. Or maybe it was... Nope, this is not it.
Has anyone been watching the newest season of Letterkenny?
Is there like a new one? Like just recently? Because I did watch. Yes?
Yeah, so there was the season that people weren't super crazy about because they'd been picked up by Hulu, and so that it was a whole crack and egg season.
Oh, that's the call-in show, right?
Yeah.
Crack and egg. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that one was pretty like underwhelming, but there's another season now, and I'm pretty sure like they have the creative reins like back at this point.
I'll have to check it out then. Yeah, it was really disappointing. It's like, great, they have an even bigger distribution, and then like what all like executives love to do, they want to buy something because it's popular, people love it, and then they tell them, now do it different. Right. Now do it how we want.
Well, it's an outdated leadership model where as soon as it's yours, you have to pee on it to establish your new authority, and so no one questions you being new as the leader. And usually that involves making changes pretty arbitrarily. Until just like it flex your power over the system now, and it's never good. It's never useful because it's change that didn't need to happen. You're just swinging your dick around.
This is true.
I don't think that was the show actually called Banshee that you were thinking of.
It's not. No, I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Are you talking about Lost Girl?
That's the one.
Starring Anna Silk.
Yeah.
And
is that the one where
Palmer? Where she is a succubus.
That's the one. Why am I thinking it was called Banshee?
I don't know.
Because of the succubus thing?
Maybe. Because that's literally like how she gets her power. Yep. Apparently it's good. I've never saw it, but apparently it got some pretty decent reviews. They're like, yes, it sounds like it's softcore porn, but it's actually a good show.
It's both.
I never know how to tie things off.
Random.
It's not random. I'm at the end of my thing and I need to tie it, and I'm never super sure how.
It was just the timing of that comment being that confused Cable and I.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Lost Girl. I actually haven't finished that show, but Lost Girl was good. I enjoyed what I've seen of it. I've only seen, I think, the first couple of seasons of it.
So here's something for you guys to ponder while we're doing this here. If you could bring back any show with the stipulation is that the real time has passed from whenever it ended until today when you debut the show, which one would you pick?
Wait. Explain those rules again.
Okay, so it's not like a reboot, not like Battlestar Galactica. Say you wanted to bring back a show that you liked, that either ended on its own or was canceled. The stipulation being however much time has actually passed from the day it stopped broadcasting till today, that you have to factor that in.
Oh, so like Fuller House style?
Yeah, or like Picard.
Gotcha. It's a much better nerdy reference than
Max Headroom.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Because now it would be set in now, not 15 minutes in the future.
Oh man, that you could even have it opening with like the 15 minutes have passed and it's now. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I got the chills just thinking of the tagline. That's nice.
Because I'm having a hard time distinguishing the world that Edison Carter was covering for Network 23 and the one that we're living in right now.
Man, yeah. I got to rewatch that show. Just wonder how it holds up.
Parts of it, what little I've rewatched of it still holds up. Like it's clearly a product of late 80s, early 90s.
Sure.
This is what we think the future is going to be like, and it's very depressing and very dystopian.
What?
Except we are living in one, and it's the person that we are trying to trust are not politicians, are not the police, are not emergency services. It's the media, and it's the single intrepid reporter story.
Yeah. Also, I always wonder how weird it felt to like the Coke ad execs who were like, "Oh man, they're turning our character into a TV show. This is going to be the best branding ever," and it ends up being like this, like nothing that any corporation would ever want attached to their brand.
And that's just it. Is they didn't own him.
No, I know they didn't. Yeah,
they contracted with him, but they didn't own Max Headroom. Because Max Headroom appeared on his own, had his own talk show, contracted with, was it with Coke? I thought it was with Pepsi.
I think it
was
Coke.
One of the two. Okay.
Yeah.
And then...
no, Pepsi had Michael Jackson, Coke had Max Headroom.
Okay.
That's kind of in my brain.
Rockwell also had Coke. And then he performed with the band The Art of Noise and did Paranomia.
All right.
Paranomia, I think, was probably my introduction to Max Headroom, and then just kind of followed from there. I was a huge Max Headroom fan. That's why I still pay attention when Matt Frewer shows up on things. I'm like, you're the guy. You're him.
Right.
That, and there's still that, was it in Chicago, where someone usurped a television network and broadcast as Max Headroom for like 10 minutes and then disappeared?
No, when did that happen?
It was in the mid 80s. No one has ever copped to it. No one knows who did it. No one knows how they did it. It's this huge urban legend, but people still talk about it. I think Paul Guinan has seen it. Paul Guinan saw it live.
Did anyone record it? Like, was it anyone get a chance to record it?
I don't know. I'll do some digging while Denise proffers her answer about what show she would do.
Well, now I've just been wondering, like, I wish I knew more about Max Headroom, because I don't know anything.
I think it's on CW Seed still. Online, you can watch it, I think.
Huh. Okay.
Unless they took it off, you could.
It was 1987. November 22nd, 1987.
The show or the thing in Chicago?
The Thing in Chicago.
Oh wait, Max Headroom was only 1988.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't last long. It
No,
was
and he wasn't in many of them either, honestly. He'd have
no.
little bits, but oh, that's right. And he's in one episode of TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's the guy from the future, but actually he's from the past and killed the guy from the future and is stealing tech.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Not to be confused with Dwight Schultz, that everyone confuses him with Dwight Schultz.
No.
I know some people confuse the two.
How?
I think it's because they're both two similarly aged white guys with big foreheads.
Yeah, but their acting styles are completely different.
Totally different.
Also, I know everyone sees Dwight Schultz as Barkley, original Barkley, but
Not me.
Yeah, he's Howlin' Mad Murdoch.
He's Howling Mad Murdoch.
He's always going to be Howlin' Mad Murdoch.
Oh, damn it. Now I have two shows I want to bring back. Actually, that's not fair. One is a reboot and one's a follow-up. Okay, so sorry. I might do that too. Think of one you'd reboot also and modernize.
Okay. I'll think of that.
All right, Denise, what's one you'd want to do?
Oh man.
Now you got to think of two. You can come back on the reboot then. We'll come back.
I barely have one. Under your rules, I'll do this one as the reboot then because it doesn't work as the original Bring It Back one. But I would love to see a new Golden Girls.
Okay.
There's a lot of political, I guess, divide between generations right now. But how awesome would it be to know that there's just a group of 4 biddies out there just getting in touch with the modern culture.
Yeah.
And also, just being 60-something single ladies and having a good time together.
That's true. Plus, you got to have the mom.
Yes, for sure.
That show is also way more progressive than I think people remember.
No, and that's why I think it would be a really good thing to have it again, is to just let's face it, older people, white people are the more likely to not be particularly progressive, rich older white people. So to have someone on TV who looks like their peers, then kind of in an environment where they are being educated and understanding what's all this LGBTQXYZ stuff? I don't get it. I can't keep it straight. And then, they teach each other, or their adult children teach them what it all means and why it's important. And then at the end of the, wholesome episode, they've learned something, and maybe the viewers would too.
So, okay, let me ask you that, because the not the knee jerk, but the kind of obvious choice would be to make the cast really diverse. And you actually think one part of the point is actually keep it for older white women?
I guess. I know that show was not only enjoyed by older white women. A lot of people my age fondly remember that show, and I was a child at the time. So,
if I see it on, I'll be like, oh yeah, it still holds up. It's still got sitcom tropes and shit.
Sure. Mm-hmm. But I like you said, I think it's a lot more progressive than people maybe actively realized at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's twofold. I think that it could serve a purpose, but also I would just really enjoy it, me personally. Right. Oh, Hasham has a good one that would be pretty cool. I would be down for that because I really loved that show. Is The Wonder Years. Pop into that universe 30 years later. Although that could be tricky because it's from the 80s, but it was a period piece in the 50s.
No, 60s.
60s? Then the brother goes off to war.
He goes off to Vietnam.
Is it Vietnam? Oh, right, because of the protesting. So,
yeah.
So and 60s, so there was a lot
late
of
60s, early 70s, yeah.
Okay, so then 50s, 60s, 70s. So the bringing it back, if you wanted to keep it, in tandem, 30 years later would be the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Right. I don't know if that follows your rules.
Yes, because you're asking to see it progress from
where it started. Because mine follow-up is also a show from the past. Well, that means you could argue being that like a Wonder Years follow-up would be right around the first Gulf War.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got Fred Savage's character
Evan.
and Winnie. I don't remember if they even ended up together. Let's assume they did.
I mean, they were freshmen in high school or some shit. So
yeah. So maybe they're not together. Maybe they have a kid now, and like, yeah, just you could play with that whole paradigm of like what happened to like the peace and love generation when they became like basically warmongers, which is an argument that is very justified.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be cool. That'd be really cool. I'd watch that. I would totally watch that. So mine would be, I would bring back The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. and put it 30 years from when the show ended. So it would be 30 years after 1893. So you're, late 19. So you're basically right up around the Great Depression era, right in the middle of it. And you could bring, I think, unfortunately, Julius Carey passed away. So you couldn't have him, but you'd have to bring someone connected to him. But that would be fun. And it'd be fun to see, older Briscoe County. Because, you can still put Bruce on the back of a horse or a motorcycle now, or instead of now steampunk, it's diesel punk.
Right.
So that would be the one I would bring back. They would have no like social ramifications at all. It would just be something that would be fun. I want to put old Bruce Campbell like in like a detective's trench coat, but still has his cowboy hat. And instead of the horse, he has a motorcycle now, but you still put in weird shit with like time travelers and aliens and whatever.
Man, I didn't realize that Julius Carey had passed away.
Yeah, a few years ago.
It's not a few. He passed away in 2008. He was 56 years old.
Yeah, he was not.
What happened?
I don't know.
He played.
I didn't have anything to do with it. If that's what you're implying.
Lord.
No, what I'm implying is like that's awfully young. Something must have happened.
He had the coolest outfit too, Lord Bowler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man, everybody just looked cool in that show.
And he also had another one of my favorite roles. Show enough.
Yeah, show enough.
Show enough. Who the baddest? Show enough. And now we've gone down the rabbit hole of Cable just quotes Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
On, son.
I realized too late that today would have been a good day.
Look at that outfit. Look at Lord Bowler there. That's cool.
Wow.
That's a cool outfit, man. Yeah. I mean, I think it is, which maybe means it's not, but I think it's cool.
It was good. It was a good outfit.
Yeah. All right. So, Cable, what would your reboot be?
Oh. I think I go back to it's a movie that I would reboot as a television series, and that's Buckaroo Banzai.
Buckaroo Banzai. Yeah. I wonder if Kevin Smith has his script out there, or scripts, or his treatment of it.
Don't know.
I mean, he might, but I mean, isn't he pretty much just all about doing independent stuff now?
Yeah, but like that was his baby. Well, he's doing the He-Man show, or he's show running. He's show running He-Man.
Huh? That's not her.
I know Mark Bernardin wrote a couple episodes. And he hasn't mentioned all the writers, but he mentioned it's a pretty crack shot like writer's room.
Good.
It's the same production team that did Castlevania. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, is this gonna be animated?
Yeah, on Netflix.
Right on. Actually, never watched that second season.
Of He-Man?
Castlevania.
Oh, I haven't either.
It it's good, but boy, is it a slodge at times. And there are two parallel stories that never really intersect. Um, one I found much more interesting than the other.
Mm.
All right, Bean. Do you have your one? You would. So you already did a reboot. So what
I
would
already
your?
did two.
What you did? Golden Girls and what else? Oh, Wonder Years. I'm sorry.
Wonder Years is my bring it back later.
All right,
You said no. Wonder Years was Hisham's.
I can use it too.
Oh,
okay.
That's cheating.
Fine. Okay. Okay. What would I bring back later? This is hard. My mind has gone completely blank. God damn it. I'm just trying to think of things that I used to enjoy. I don't know. You guys riff while I think.
All right. Well, I'll do mine really quick. So my reboot, again, I don't know how much like social commentary it would have. I would love to do a modern take on the A-Team. With a much more diverse and like global cast, and have them deal with some like longer story arcs, not just one and dones, like dealing with like heavy like corporate shit, or being a thorn in the side of like governments that try to set up other fucking governments for like corruption and stuff. You modernize it to where they're all basically Afghan war vets, and you play around with the genders, you play around with the ethnicities, but you kind of keep the roles all the same. You got the pilot, you've got the planner, you've got the muscle, you got the face, and I don't know, you set up some like weird anonymous video blogger or whatever as the Amy character, someone who follows them around because they try to get their message out while they're kicking ass and helping people.
Yeah, I think there's a way that you can do that where it's still both episodic and has a larger story arc, or a longer story arc, and that arc is definitely them trying to expose what got them all dishonorably discharged in the first place.
Right. Yeah, and have it to where they don't even get to, because it's always the thing of like they promptly escape from their high security, prison. Like have it to where they didn't even get, like they were on their way and they busted out like on the way. So there's that, and yeah, you can have fun with it. So yeah, you can totally have like the kind of lighthearted A-Team style escapades, but I think you could actually have the A-Team dealing with some heavier stuff.
See, and here's the thing. The easy route is to make Face a woman, but instead you flip it and B.A. Baracus is your woman. Your muscle is a woman.
I've done 100%. All kinds of like, I've done all kinds of like weird head casting.
You can get Gina Carano in there.
An actress with that kind of build, yes, 100%. Like I still think B.A. Baracus should be black.
Right.
Fair enough.
Well, in my head, John Cho is the new Hannibal because he's also older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I like
the only thing you definitely keep is his nickname is still Hannibal. I wouldn't want to name him after like a well-known, like, Korean or Chinese conqueror, because then I feel like that turns into it too much.
Yeah, no,
it's Hannibal. It's Hannibal.
Not the point. Yeah,
you call him Hannibal. Only thing I keep is that he still also smokes cigars. That you keep that for sure. I like the idea just because network television as a rule tends to shy away from bi dudes. You make Face Man still the guy, and he's totally flexible. Does not care. I mean, He cares, but it's like...
No, he's 100% pansexual.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with gender.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. I think your pilot is probably, in my head, the pilot is a woman. I like the idea that she didn't get like quote like air combat roles, so she does a lot of like helicopter rescue and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So she can fly you guys into some tight fucking spots and get in and out fast. And do you turn into the fact that maybe I mean, that was always a problematic thing about Murdoch, is that he was the crazy vet. I don't know. There was also
that was the gimmick, was breaking him out of the asylum.
The asylum was always the gimmick. Yeah, we got to break out Murdoch. That was the other fun thing about Murdoch. He always willingly went back to the hospital. He's like, I got to go back. Like, all right, we'll get you when we need you. And it's a weird place to do it, but you could actually have like this version of the A-Team like actually deal with like PTSD shit at the same time while getting into adventures.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff there. There really is stuff there in between. And if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team. You can still do all that. So that's mine. All right, Bean, we gave you time.
I got nothing. I'm actually sitting here while you guys are talking, like scouring. I'm like, okay, 80s shows, 90s shows. I even went into the 2000s shows, and I'm like, I don't need any of these to come back necessarily.
And that's the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, if it's either a show I didn't watch, a show that like has a clear-cut ending where like you don't really they tied up all the loose ends. There's no real reason to come back. Or it's a show where I'm like, I never need to watch that again. Even if I enjoyed it at that time, I don't need it again or some more.
I think there's a fourth category in that there are shows that were definitely tied to a particular actor, where it's like, yeah, you can redo this, but you have to have so-and-so. Otherwise, what's the point? I think that like Fantasy Island, they've tried to do many iterations of Fantasy Island, but none of them had Ricardo Montalban, so who cares?
It just wasn't the same.
Right.
And then there's a lot of stuff from my youth that's already been rebooted, animated or real world. So it's slim pickings out there at this point. Someone on Facebook is saying, how about Knight Rider? I never watched that show. Yeah, I'm really stumped. That's why I jumped on Hisham's suggestion of The Wonder Years, because that's a show that I actually did watch again as an adult, and I feel it still holds up. It's very wholesome. The Wonder Years. It was wholesome and heartwarming. So I was you missed it. I was telling Cable, I like scoured my formative years for TV shows, and if you rule out shows that that tied up all the loose ends, so there's no reason to come back, shows I didn't watch, or shows that I never need to watch again, there's just really not that much out there.
Right. So Greg in the chat mentioned Bewitched. I don't know if he mentioned that jokingly, but I kind of like that.
I did too, but you said I can't use things off of the chat, so.
Well,
as your own,
we can discuss things in the chat. That's half the fun of the chat.
Okay, well,
just how like Norm forever wants Space Above and Beyond to come back.
Yeah. We all know that.
I actually have been thinking about Bewitched recently because I was listening to a podcast where they interview one of the writers for the Chilling Tales of Sabrina, or Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And they pointed out that, I thought this was clear, but I know that other people don't care for this show. And I think it's because maybe they didn't see that it was meant to be pretty tongue in cheek. The writing on Sabrina is meant to be sort of goofy. Like
I liked it.
So here's the thing. It was a witch podcast, and the guest that was on is not only a writer for the show, but also a practicing witch. And so, he was there to say like, yes, it's not necessarily meant to be a super accurate depiction of what witch culture is. Right. In general terms, but we wanted to sort of, kind of poke fun at what, I guess maybe like what mainstream culture or society thinks witches are like, and that's why they go hard with the whole Satan Satanism stuff. They're it's a satanic coven, and they replace heaven with hell in any sort of like phrase.
Yeah.
Or like instead of like, oh my God, it's oh my Satan, and it gets a little silly, but that's intentional.
Right.
And in that conversation, they talked about Bewitched and how it was a little bit subversive, but it was not a great depiction of a supportive husband understanding who his wife really is. The whole kickoff of the show is her revealing herself as a witch, and he freaks out and is like, never use magic. Shut it down. Right. So I think it would be fun to bring back Bewitched now, but just try to make it a little bit more what's the word? Maybe Darren doesn't have to be nagging Samantha all the time.
Right. I can see that. Yeah.
It would be interesting to see how they still sort of get that goofy humor of like, uh-oh, I got myself into trouble and then I used magic to fix it and made it worse, and we don't want my husband to find out. Now what? Right.
I'm trying to remember. Also, halfway through the show, do you change actors? Play Darren.
I mean, they did it.
Two Darrens.
They did it for Roseanne, right? And nobody cared. I don't know that nobody cared.
Yeah, I don't know about that part. God, I always forget that fucking Paul Lynde is also a witch in Bewitched.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the uncles.
One of the uncles, yeah.
Greg also says bring back Gilligan's Island.
You know what? I would do that, but I would almost want to see it done by like fucking like how like Blumhouse redid Fantasy Island, which granted it wasn't that good, but I loved the idea of it.
Was it a horror?
Yeah.
I would watch a horror Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, because what's his name? The guy from Ant-Man who we all want to recap every Marvel movie, that actor.
Oh, yeah.
He plays the Ricardo Montalban.
Is it Paul Rudd?
No, Michael Pena.
Michael Pena.
So on this Fantasy Island, basically, the whole gist is when you get there, like the fantasy you get to live out is you basically get to do what you always wanted to do. And if that means torturing the girl who was your ultimate bully in high school, it lets you do that. The twist is that you find out that everything's fucking real. So it was flawed, but like the idea was really fun. So
like Lost, but still better than Lost.
Yeah, because it had an ending.
I have seen a single episode of Lost, and that is plenty enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you could do Gilligan's Island as like this really weird subversive horror movie.
Yeah, I that could be a lot of fun.
The minnow would be lost. That'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
Man, now I'm remembering there was an episode of Bewitched where for some reason, I don't remember how, but they get thrown back in time during the Salem witch trials. And Darren almost gets burned at the stake because he lights his pipe with a match that somehow came with him. So when they put him on the stand, they're like, how did you do that? He's like, it's a match. They're like, what are matches? He's like, you strike it. And they're, but he's only got, I guess, like the one left. So he can't prove how matches work. So all I remember is that like he's like, and so like the prosecutor does it, and like Tabitha does the thing, and she lets it so a dead match can like get lit up again. I don't know why I remember that one little thing.
That's very strange.
Yeah, it's a very specific memory that I apparently have about a one episode of Bewitched.
Extremely specific, but I like it.
I was always annoyed that we also didn't get a crossover between Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. I felt like those should have happened at one time.
I know, right? In my mind, those two shows go hand in hand.
Yeah, no, in my mind, They live across town from each other. And her weird can't show her belly button rule.
Jeannie? Barbara Eden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, you never see her belly button.
I mean, I haven't watched it since I was a kid, but I never gave it a moment's notice, I think.
I always loved all the shots inside her bottle. Because that place was cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would have a space like that.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll have my own room and it's gonna look like that. It's not gonna look like that. I'm not that cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Bewitched ran all the way to 1972.
Dude.
Oh wow.
From 1964 to 1972. Weird.
Dude, like a lot of these shows went on a long, long time. Manimal. Norm said, Manimal.
I don't know what
That's
that
a show
is.
I don't want to remake and don't want to update.
Oh, you know what? A year or two ago, I had some really young employees, and they were really excited about getting into. Oh fuck! Now I'm not gonna think of what the name is, but it was a series of books, and I think it had also been a TV show briefly. Animorphs. It was called Animorphs, and each kid could like morph into a different animal, and I guess they would, I don't know, fight or solve crimes or some shit. It's like some deep 90s Nickelodeon shit, I think.
Want to know something really weird? Animorphs, technically in the Transformers universe.
Mm-hmm.
They are Transformers. That. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they just are.
I mean, it's not super weird because it's still like steel and electronics morphing into a different shape, and then if you're a person transforming into an animal, it's organic matter to organic matter. So
yeah,
we're not breaking any rules here. It's fine.
Yeah, I just like the idea that's a shared universe. That's all.
Now I'm just thinking about all kinds of ridiculous 90s shows.
I mean, there's a lot of them, but every decade has just ridiculous shows.
Yeah.
Although not Beast Machines. That show was tight.
Beast Machines.
Beast Machines or Beast Wars?
Both. Beast Wars were good, so was Beast Machines.
Oh, we could bring back Robot Wars. Remember Robot Wars?
No.
Don't.
Wasn't
that the competitive show?
It was early 2000s, maybe even late 90s, and I want to say it was on the Sci-Fi Channel.
It was. They did try to bring that back.
With actual robots, right?
Yeah, people would build their own robots, and then they would have to duke it out with one another to see who built the superior robot.
Yeah, it came back between 2016 and 2018. That is where Grant Imahara was first noticed by the Mythbusters.
Oh. Yeah, maybe I knew that, deep down.
Yeah.
Talina says it's still on.
Is it still on? Robot Wars Extreme.
Oh, okay. It's a whole new thing now.
Then there was BattleBots. Yeah, all that stuff. Bring back Robot Jocks.
Wasn't it just RoboJocks?
Was it RoboJocks or Robot Jocks? This was a movie, though.
Oh.
Starring, what's his name? The Vulcan from Enterprise. The older Vulcan. And he was also the cop in Alien. Oh, my God. You could bring back Alien.
Gary Graham is who you're thinking of.
I would totally bring back Alien Nation.
I never saw that.
That show was good. It got weird, but I remember really liking that show.
The movie was weirder.
Yes.
I feel.
What's the premise here?
Aliens literally show up over downtown LA, and you find out that they're an entire ship of refugees who were basically slaves under... Well, no, they would enslave themselves. It was like a caste system, right?
No.
Another race that enslaved them.
They were enslaved to another race, or by another race. The ship that they were on was damaged and off course and landed on Earth. They didn't build the technology, so they had no idea how to work it.
Right.
They couldn't fix the ship. They couldn't go back out into space. And planet Earth decided to grant them asylum and assimilate them into Earth culture.
And they're mainly just in LA.
Yep.
That's wildly unrealistic.
Well, the thing and the kind of twist is that now that an actual different race shows up, basically human racism kind of goes away because we all get to hate somebody else together.
Mm-hmm.
That part I would believe.
Oh, and they get drunk off sour milk. I remember that. So an entire industry storms up about perfectly souring milk. Like it's in the beer aisle with like, it's like beer, wine, here's the sour milk. And salt water kills them.
Yeah, it was a strange show. It was a stranger movie because it starred James Caan and Mandy Patinkin.
Oh, Mandy's the alien, huh? Newcomers.
Mandy Patinkin was the alien, yeah.
Newcomers. They have other more racist names, but they call themselves the Newcomers. The show got weird when it was the whole how the Newcomers had kids. And how was it the women like started the egg and then they implant it into the male, so then the male gestates this giant egg, and like he literally has to lay like this giant fucking egg,
like a seahorse.
Yeah,
I guess,
like a seahorse.
I'll only accept it if when the eggs are ready to come out, with the babies, the male has to sneeze them out like a seahorse does. You ever seen that?
No.
I think there's one that comes out of
when a male seahorse is ready to release the newly hatched eggs, it looks like it like convulses in a way that it looks like it's sneezing them out of its belly button.
Yes.
Talina makes a good point. They did redo Alien Nation. It was called District 9.
Oh, I never thought about it that way. That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was a show in the early 2000s.
By the way, really quick, let's just do this and not review that comic. Because I'm having fun. And it's been nice to have fun.
I think we're at that point where it's that's just what's happening already.
Yeah, this is actually really fun and so very needed. Thank you.
Speaking of alien TV shows, it was one about lizard people. And I believe it itself was a remake of an older series.
You're talking about
Yes.
Starring Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm.
I was really enjoying that show, and I think it was canceled very quickly.
The new one? Because it had what's her name from Firefly? Monica. She was the new like head alien,
She was the new Diana. Yeah.
Diana, yeah.
I would have enjoyed like having an opportunity for that show to have been fleshed out.
That would be cool. Yeah, that was a big deal when they brought that back too. Like they really tried to pump that up.
And I guess I don't know like how well received or how well made the original one was, but
it was a TV movie first, right? It was like one of those like ABC like miniseries events.
It was an NBC.
NBC?
It was one of NBC's tentpole shows for
because I remember
a while.
They would kind of tease like the TV movie with like they would literally like interrupt, we have something they would interrupt these broadcasts with like static, and you hear a voice like they're coming, and it would cut back to the regular show.
It's that guerrilla marketing.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Quantum Leap TV movie. I don't need a whole series, but
yeah, the miniseries was 1983, and the television series started in 1984 and went through. How long was it on? It was only on for a single season. That doesn't seem right.
What's that? Seasons were so much longer back then. They were like 26 or 30 episodes.
Sure, but like that's, and they also split it up differently.
Right. I know they tried. I don't think I got past the pilot. They tried
to bring back. It was only 19 episodes.
Wow.
Why do I remember this show being on long? Yeah.
I remember it also being a much bigger deal.
Yes. It was huge.
Like a cultural thing. Like everyone talked about V.
Yeah. Because we...
Again, 3 channels.
Exactly.
What year was this again?
1984.
Was there really so few channels in 84 still?
Yes.
Yeah.
My husband's laughing at me.
there was cable by now, but like if you had cable, the other channels you had was like WGN, maybe USA or TBS, but they were literally just showing reruns. Like they weren't showing anything new.
Yeah, that was what they went to, is all syndicated stuff.
Yeah, so
Same
like
with USA and TNT.
Yeah, all of them. None of them started having new content until what, the early 2000s? That's kind of when it happened.
No, that's a good point. I used to spend a lot of time watching syndicated shows on USA, TNT.
Yeah, and I didn't have cable at all growing up. So I had 4 channels. If you counted PBS, and then around 86, 87. No. When did Fox start? 88, 89?
Something like that.
And even then it was what? It was
80.
Tracy Ullman Show and the Tracy Ullman Show.
Yeah, that was like 86, 87.
And then we got what? We got
Married with Children.
Married with Children.
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons. Was Parker Lewis Can't Lose? Was that an early Fox show?
No, I don't think it. Maybe. I thought that was CBS.
I don't remember.
No, CBS actually had a Ferris Bueller's
Get a Life, because I remember Stand in the Place Where You Were, because they had the REM song.
And
then X-Files and Briscoe County debuted the same year. Those were the 2 new shows for Fox that year, and clearly one of them did better.
In Living Color, that was the other thing that they had.
Yeah.
That was their sketch comedy show.
Yeah. In Living Color was also the first show to try to subvert the Super Bowl, because every other channel just basically didn't program anything during the Super Bowl. There was no point. In Living Color did a 20-minute commercial-free sketch show timed for the halftime show. And they literally had a counter on the bottom right that told you when you could turn back to like ABC.
It's pretty ballsy.
Yeah. And Living Color also used to record live. And then they got, and then they had Sam Kinison as a guest.
That'll do it.
But he apparently stayed clean. He stayed on script the whole time, is what I'd always heard.
Yeah, In Living Color was 1990.
Dude, that show, I love that. It's so weird to think of like people I know now that have become, let's just say, not as like open anymore, like adored In Living Color.
Yep.
That show was, I mean, there's shit you could not get away with now.
And it gave us Jim Carrey, David Allen Greer, the Wayans, Jamie
That entire
Foxx.
That entire Wayans family is like a comedy powerhouse.
Yeah, Kim, Sean, Keenan Ivory.
Keenan Ivory Wayans has launched the career of so many people.
And of course, Jennifer Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
For better or for worse.
Actually, I think it was, I don't know if it was recently, but there was this quote from like Jim Carrey, it might be recently, when like maybe someone had asked him about like Black Lives Matter or something like that. And he's like, what are your take on it? And he says, without black comedy, y'all wouldn't have me. He's like, because Whitey wasn't coming for my shtick. You know who was? Keenan Ivory Wayans. He gave me a job. He saw something. He's like, so if you like what I do, thank him.
I recently learned that Jim Carrey is now a political cartoonist.
Really?
Yeah, he does illustrations, and lately he's been doing anti-Trump art.
I never know how to feel about that guy.
Single-panel political cartoons. Yeah, I have mixed feelings.
Because like on one end he'll do that, on the other you'll see him say something. You're like, that's kind of like some anti-vaxxer shit. Because he's kind of kooky.
Right. Well, he was married to what's-her-face for a long time. Or are they still married?
I don't remember.
Jenny McCarthy. And she is basically...
Oh, shit. Were they really?
They used to be, at least. And she's
Jim
basically...
Carrey?
Yeah. Yeah. Jim Carrey... And
Jim Carrey. So the reason Jim Carrey disappeared for a while is his wife committed suicide.
Oh.
And he was implicated in part of it. And
Whoa.
and he came out of all of that just kind of like, I have a better view of what actually matters and what doesn't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He got, I'm not going to say weird, but it did change his perspective on pretty much everything.
Yeah, well, then there's that whole documentary about him filming Man on the Moon and how he got way too deep into
method acting.
Yeah, but the character he played, the real person,
Andy Kaufman.
Thank you. Yeah, that he got way too deep into becoming Andy Kaufman, and that kind of
messed him up.
And apparently made him just awful to work around during that entire film shoot. Because Andy Kaufman was awful to work around.
Interesting. I just have I have a hard time deciding whether I appreciate him as an artist or not.
I am sorry for doubting you, Bean. Yes, he did date Jenny McCarthy for 5 years.
Well, that'll do a number on you.
Yeah, and she's basically
that was 10 years ago.
She's the reason like the anti-vaxxer movement got so big, because celebrity got behind it, and off we go.
Yeah.
I don't actually know how much he may or may not have had to do with any of that, though. Like, do they have kids together? I don't know.
I don't think so.
He only has a kid with his first wife. His second wife was Lauren Holly, and they are also divorced.
Right. What else? Yeah. What else do we try to bring back? I think here.
Sexy. We're trying to bring sexy back. Dude.
Done.
You motherfucking nut, you're out of burn. I like that song.
I love that entire album. End to end,
whole album's
unabashedly. Good. It is really, really good. It's not even normally like a style of music that I listen to, but it is a really, really fun album.
I know they did a pilot of a reboot of The Greatest American Hero, but it didn't. No pun intended. It did not take off.
But that's a good pun.
Yeah, but I guess part of it also is that the main character was now like was a Muslim woman who was going to become the greatest American hero, and that was going to be part of the way that it was going to like play around with some stereotypes and whatnot.
Interesting.
Yeah, it didn't get picked up. And I think also one of the shticks of the new version is that her suit was going to have shifting powers, so she always was trying to figure out what her power was going to be. Which is basically dial H for hero.
I was going to say, so they were going to do Ms. Marvel with dial H for hero. Okay.
Yeah. I'd watch that show.
Of course we would.
Yeah, that's true. I think I mentioned Quantum Leap. I would like a TV movie of Quantum Leap.
Yeah, that was what I was saying when you had stepped away.
Sorry.
I said to Bean, and I actually used Fantasy Island as the example, because it was talking about the fact that there's shows that have already been rebooted that you don't care enough to reboot, or and I said that there was another one in there that's the show itself was tied so closely to a specific actor that you can't reboot it unless you've got a clone of that person. And like I said with Fantasy Island, it's like they tried to do a movie, they've tried to do a series. None of them had Ricardo Montalban, so who cares?
Right. And what's his name?
Hervé Villachez.
Hervé Villachez, yeah. Who was apparently just a monster.
A
like
tiny
to work
one.
with?
Huh?
Like to work with?
Yeah. Yes. Apparently he was just a monster to work with.
It happens.
Yeah. There'd be no reason for it, but part of me loves the idea. And again, I like the idea of getting kind of like not washed out, and that's because that's kind of cruel. But maybe celebrities you don't see on TV or movies anymore and putting them in a show. Hence why part of me likes the idea of like bringing back Love Boat. Maybe as a mini series. Like don't give it a full 22 episodes. Make it a 4-hour television event. But then also mix it with like the fucking Poseidon adventure. So half an hour in after you've met all your and the celebrities have to be playing themselves, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing cameo parts.
Yeah, I mean that's oh my god, that's the whole shtick, right? So like they're all hired on because whatever CBS or NBC or whatever wants to bring back the Love Boat. But here's the twist: is the actors are gonna, we're gonna do it as a reality show now. We're gonna bring the Love Boat back, blah blah blah, and then, bam! Like a rogue wave hits it, and like flips it over, and then it becomes the Poseidon Love Boat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You could have a whole bit where like you ask, like Richard Dean Anderson is on the show, and like he gets really annoyed when everyone just assumes he knows how to MacGyver stuff, and he's like, "It was a character."
Interesting.
You know what? I also don't travel through stargates. Or like David Hasselhoff can't figure out why like computers don't talk back to him when he talks to him.
I'm watching a show. Well, no, I guess the season's over now. There's only the one season so far. But it's a series where Hugh Laurie is the captain of the ship. But then it turns out he's not really a captain. He's a hired actor. And everyone who like mans the bridge of the ship is also just a hired actor because the corporation only wanted attractive people working on this cruise line.
It's the sci-fi show, right?
I don't know what network it's on, but it's called Avenue 5.
No, as in like it takes place in space. Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard that wasn't very good.
I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of people. It's got a lot of that person in it. There's a lot of actors attached to it who I enjoy, even if they're not like major players or whatever.
I wouldn't mind seeing. Speaking of Hugh Laurie, I wouldn't mind seeing Rowan Atkinson trying to bring back one more Blackadder. But
that's on my list of things to watch.
But in our current political climate, so imagine how Blackadder handles Brexit.
Yeah. I would watch that.
Yeah.
I would watch.
Because the principals, Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, they're around, clearly.
Yes, they are.
And they're all buddies still.
Yeah, Stephen Fry is just doing sleep stories nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he can squeeze that in.
Yeah, I would watch that. I would assume it would be good.
I guess I need to watch Blackadder then.
Yeah, but you don't like Rowan Atkinson. Or do you not like Mr. Bean?
I don't like Mr. Bean.
Okay.
Mr. Bean is all physical humor, whereas Blackadder is all cerebral.
Very much so. Which is
one of the reasons I'm like mixed about Jim Carrey. I don't really care for physical humor.
Right. But his cerebral stuff is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it could be called Blackadder 10 Downing Street.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, that would be so good.
Because I remember the way they ended Blackadder was actually very kind of poignant and bittersweet.
Which time?
The World War I one, when they all know that this is their final, like this is it.
How many endings does it have?
Well, basically Blackadder always dies. And they don't really explain why he's back. They just bring all the characters back in a different era.
Yeah, it starts off in it's King Henry VIII, right?
It's Tudor era, I thought.
Okay.
That would be King Henry.
Yeah.
And then Elizabethan.
Mm-hmm.
And then World War I.
No, there's one more in there.
I don't remember. Well, as if we'd only had access to all of humanity's knowledge. I know, right?
My hands are full, so it's on you guys.
I'm looking it up right now. Jeez.
So the Blackadder 2. Hold on.
Blackadder the third and Blackadder goes fourth.
Yeah. So Blackadder is 1485. So that's the Middle Ages with Richard III. Blackadder 2 is Queen Elizabeth I. The third is so none of it's ever the Edward era, right? Blackadder III would have been King Edward, I think. I don't remember. And then go forward to the Western Front.
1920s?
Yep. 1917, yeah. Because I think Blackadder III is the one that has the Macbeth bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's the second one. Whenever, yeah. We just call it the Scottish play. You mean Macbeth? Oh man, yeah, that'd be cool.
And he starts out as a prince in Blackadder the First, and is reduced to like a private by the time they get to Blackadder goes forth. So every time he's reincarnated, essentially, is that he's further down in social rank.
Right.
Interesting.
And I forgot they did a couple of little shorts. Like the Cavalier Day was for comic relief. They've done a Christmas special with Ebenezer Blackadder. Wait, did they just do one? They did the Big Night In, broadcasting what? Children in need during COVID-19. Fry resumes the role of Lord Melchett under lockdown in Melchett Manor to help Prince William deal with educating his. So it doesn't have him in it, but helping Prince William deal with educating his kids via Zoom and discussing Tiger King. Oh, you can totally. Oh man, that'd be cool. I'd watch that.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. I would say they should bring back fucking In Living Color, but we had that called the Astronomy Club, and Netflix didn't renew it.
I don't even think they really advertised it.
No, not at all. The writers for the Astronomy Club, literally 20 minutes before. So Netflix did their big Black Lives Matter post about how they support Black lives and it's very important to them. The people who created and wrote the Astronomy Club literally retweeted the message from Netflix saying, "By the way, y'all just found out Astronomy Club's not being renewed." That show was so good.
I'm really getting by on not getting by, but in lieu of Astronomy Club, I am enjoying a Black Lady sketch show.
What's that on?
I think it might be HBO.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I'll have to confirm that for you. But it's really funny. It's 4 Black women comedian, hence the title. And I mean, even in scenes where there's a lot of extras in the background, it's almost exclusively Black people, and it's EP'd by Issa Rae, whom I already love. I'll watch anything she's in or involved with. And then other I'm not going to think of the name of her friend on Insecure, but it's another Black female actress who's on Insecure. She shows up on it a couple times. Tiffany Haddish, nothing but awesome Black ladies. You're gonna see a lot of familiar faces if you're already enjoying. I think so.
All right, I'll check it out since I broke down and got HBO Max. So
it's a pretty good deal for 15
Doom Patrol.
bucks. Ooh, Doom Patrol is on my list too.
Not yet. I'm going to.
That show looks like a lot of fun.
Although speaking of Issa Rae, anybody, you guys watch Lovebirds yet?
Yes, that movie was a lot of fun.
For me, it was only fun because of the 2 leads. Like the story, I was like, but they carry that whole movie.
No, yeah, it's basically, what is that movie? Date Night?
Yeah.
With Steve Carell and Tina Fey?
Yeah.
It would just be that, but they're so fresh and funny, and it's just like a bit more of a youthful take. Whereas I think Date Night they're like in their 40s or 50s. It's a little bit less relatable,
right?
Because this is a young couple in the city.
Man, speaking of sketch shows, so I like her stand-up. I tried to watch the Schlesinger's her sketch show,
the Eliza show.
Yeah, boy, that was rough. I got maybe an episode and a half in, and I was like, okay, it just doesn't work.
The trailer has like a 45-second bit about her poops. I'm like,
I don't know if she's one of the main writers on it, but I'm like, this is not that you expect a stand-up comedian to only basically do their material, but as sketch shows. Her writing on her comedy specials are so much better than what was on that sketch show. I'm like, okay, I'm going to cash out on that one.
Oh, that's the other thing too with Black Lady sketch show. They have recurring characters, like continuing story arcs. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's not like a character who keeps coming back or like who has a sketch in almost every episode. Right. There's a continuous story with repeating with the repeating characters. So there are arcs even though it's sketches, which I think is fantastic.
Right. Ooh. Well, maybe we wrap up the show with that. We've been at it for 90 minutes.
Something positive for a change.
Yeah.
Yes, that's always nice.
It'd be nice. Yeah. Next week is no guest.
That we know of.
We could get one.
Yeah, let's see who we can get. Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking about TV shows that nobody watches. Well, we brought up stuff people watch.
No. There's actually been a lot of activity in the chat about shows that we've mentioned or that we should be watching. I probably should have given them more attention.
Yeah. Well, it's also probably nice to just talk about stuff that isn't awful every once in a while.
That is true.
Everyone kind of needs that for a little bit. So on that note, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Benarita.
And I'm Cable Hashtani.
And we will talk to everybody next week. And even though it was a positive show, resign, Ted Wheeler. Jackass. All right. We are done recording.